Today in the garage, our guest is Augustin Friedel. Augustine is Associated Partner for Software-Defined Vehicles at MHP, a Porsche company. In today's discussion, we focus extensively on partnerships. Augustine wrote, along with some collaborators, an extensive study of partnerships and how they can benefit the industry. Companies large and small can be successful at partnerships, and why it's such an imperative for the automotive industry. Let's go. Welcome to the garage. I'm John Heinlein, Chief Marketing Officer with Sonatus. We're recording live at CES 2026 at the gigantic Sonatus booth, and we're thrilled to have with us today Augustin Friedel from MHP. Augustin, welcome to the garage. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Thanks for having me here today, John. So my background, I'm from Germany, originally from the south, from the Alps. Now I live with my family in Berlin or close to Berlin. And then basically my history is I'm a mechanical engineer. I spent a lot of time in the startup ecosystem, building companies like Uber in Germany or like Rocket Internet before I ventured into like automotive OEMs and then now in consulting. And like everything linked to mobility and transformation of the transportation space is basically my personal passion.
You have a very diverse background. We don't get a lot of mechanical engineers. We had about one or two, usually electrical engineers. So that's very exciting. Yeah. And you got to tell us a fun fact about you.
Oh, my fun fact is, was very hard to find one, but it's one I'm very proud of is that I managed to exercise every day in 2025.
Every day?
Despite all the traveling to the US or to China or within Europe, and despite having like 3 kids. So that's probably you imagine how exhaustive this or like how much time it also takes to take care of the kids. So that's a fun fact about me.
That's an incredible achievement. I'm a big exercise. I always like to have a fun fact to match our guest. I'm a big exercise buff as well. My team knows at 5 o'clock on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, get out of the way because I'm going to go to the gym. But every day in 2025, that's quite an achievement. So hats off to you.
Thanks.
So you work at MHP, which is a Porsche company. Can you tell us about MHP and also your role there?
Yeah, so MHP, as you mentioned, we are 100% owned by Porsche, but we were founded independently, and then Porsche took us over the last couple of years. We work with the automotive industry and beyond on either like enterprise IT topics, and like one topic that connects also like the both of us is connected vehicles, and basically how to move the industry forward of having more connected vehicles, having more connectivity between the vehicles and the cloud, do like all the data management as well. So that's basically the core link to then others function, IVI, and then cloud services as well. Yeah. So, and we are owned by Porsche, but we work with the whole ecosystem. Yeah. So we work with other OEMs as well. We work a lot with suppliers, and there we basically make a difference in the whole ecosystem in Germany, in Europe. Mm-hmm. But we also have like a team here in the US, in Atlanta. Oh, really? Yeah. And in Detroit as well. So we are the automotive customers here as well. And of course, then also China, because China is like one of the major source of innovation and pressure, then also for like the legacy OEMs at the moment. And we are there as well.
That's great. That's great. And you're kind of a famous guy on LinkedIn. You publish these incredible, I don't want to say like a summaries of industry facts and trends and customer announcements and so on. You know, where did you start this idea of doing this? This is a kind of a personal project of yours, I think, right?
Yeah, so it's my personal passion. So that's what I do basically early mornings and then also on the weekends. And yeah, so it started roughly 10 years ago, I would say. So I perfectionized the sourcing of all the relevant information so that it's very efficient and to put everything together. And yeah, it's great to see and to hear that the style of compiling information, maybe also looking beyond like the marketing speech, etc. It's like very valuable for the industry. And so this is basically always public information. So it's not out of our projects that we do at MHP. It's more like all available information, but in a very condensed and very, let's say, typical way. So that's easy to consume for probably you, your colleagues, but a lot of other players in the automotive space.
Well, it's incredible information. And I know our colleagues and I are voracious readers, and we're always studying the things you put out. We always learn things because we follow the industry closely, but you always point out things that we add value. So we're thrilled to have it, and thank you for your service. And we're jealous of how you're able to put together such incredible information with such high quality. So hats off to you.
Thanks.
So Partnerships, one of the things we'll probably talk about in this podcast is
Yeah.
partnerships. You just were the lead author of a study at MHP called The Power of Partnerships. It's an incredible, quite a long study that looked at partnerships in many ways.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about what were your goals there and what were some of maybe the top line conclusions? Then we'll go into some details.
Yeah. So the goals or why we wrote this study with my two colleagues, Jan and Alex, was that it's okay, partnerships is really becoming the make or break for the automotive industry in this transformation. Yeah. So all the different topics we are facing, linked to AI, linked to data, linked to ADAS, to software platforms, architectures, no OEM and no supplier can basically do it on their own. They need partners. And you maybe have been here around at CES as well. It's also like the core topic of the show. Yeah. So basically every player here in automotive is pushing the partnerships linked to SoCs, maybe linked to then also data platforms like Sonados, and then also like some other players, software platforms, etc. So basically based on our belief, and we see it here and we see it also by the traction that we get about the study, is that partnership is really the differentiator in this transformation towards software-defined vehicles and AI-defined vehicles.
We totally agree. And Sonatus, we care a lot about partnerships. Many people know I was at ARM for 14 years. Partnerships and ARM is in the DNA. And I've tried to bring that, and Sonatus has that as well. I was on a panel yesterday here at CES talking about that, and we were discussing differentiation and success and how do you have standardization versus differentiation. And one of the feelings is partnership is one way to go because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to do everything. But with sensible, smart partnerships, you can get efficiencies while still maintaining differentiation. I think that's almost the holy grail of the industry, is looking for that sort of balance of the two.
Yeah, it's like speed and then also like value add for both parties then. I think that's also important to have this always in mind. Yeah, so we have the like three phases of partnership development. So one is enlightenment, then execution, and then evaluation. Yeah, so I think then there it's key for the first phase, for the enlightenment phase, that both parties, or if it's a partnership with more than two, that there's like really a win-win or like a win situation for all partners involved. And then the most critical part, of course, is the execution part, where we, I would say, need a bit more progress in the industry, to focus more on execution and less on basically announcing new partnerships. But we are getting there, especially now in 2026. And then also super important is always to have like a clear set of agreed KPIs to measure the partnerships, and then also have like the clear, let's say, methods and tools in place to steer the partnership if you see you're not hitting your targets, if you're not hitting your KPIs. Yeah, so that you're not flying blind, so that you have like full transparency, and then also that you're able to act if you see that something is not like going in the direction as it was intended.
That's great. I mean, the feedback loop of evaluating and metrics of success is important, so everyone knows what to. You know, as you in your study, you talk about that there are different types of partnerships. There's more, kind of classic IT partnerships, infrastructure, and then there's more product partners. Can you describe, how are some of the similarities and differences in those two?
Yeah, so I think the similarities is there should be a value add for like all involved partners, and the outcome either for the users, if you talk about enterprise IT, or then the customers, if you talk about product IT, product partnerships should be positive. Yeah, so I think these are the similarities. Our thinking is that we in the automotive industry, you probably also know that we love to talk about products, about product partnerships and how great like everything is. We ship to the customers, but we need to recognize we can only deliver there and be super good if we manage everything linked to enterprise engineering IT partnerships as well. Yeah. So what we need as an industry, we need to look beyond the products, the solutions we ship to the customers, and really see, okay, how can we enable our IT, enterprise IT, engineering IT with partnerships to deliver everything of that. Yeah. So I think, and that's one of the key topics we also expect in 2026. Yeah. So that we move beyond products and say, okay, look, it's not about SDV as a product, it's SDV and AI defined vehicle as like, okay, we also need to include the development environment and of course then also like the enterprise IT, and like combining then enterprise IT partnerships, product partnerships, we will then head there where we want to go.
That's right. So two things to say on that. First thing is you're right that you can't, if you deliver a feature, especially now as vehicles are being more connected, more software, more data connectivity, if you deliver the feature sort of in isolation, it's not going to be successful unless it has the infrastructure and the maintainability, whether it's SaaS or however it goes, the operation. The second thing you mentioned is AI and SDV.
Yeah.
I think we believe it's so important. That's a key focus for us here at the show, Sonatus, is that SDV is great, and when we're believers, you're a believer in SDV, but you also need to see how are we using SDV. It's not just generically good. How do we come up with specifics? And we find, and we're believing, and our customers, it's resonating with our customers, that AI is one of the most attractive benefits to use the infrastructure of SDV to deliver value.
Yeah. I fully agree there. And with like the race to AI use cases, having this like enterprise, so engineering IT partnerships is even becoming more relevant, because then you're not, in the past we were talking about, okay, the ADAS domain, the IVI domain, probably in isolation. But now with AI, and then like with AI agents, you need to think about like cross-functional in the vehicle, like across like body in motion, ADAS, IVI. So having there the infrastructure ready is super critical. And then also if you think about vertical, so you need to have then also like a kind of like balancing of like cloud and edge solutions and so on. So I mean, this is then also something where you need to think about beyond just the SDV.
I totally agree, and we're kind of an AI tangent, but I like it. It's a really good topic, because the AI for us, what's interesting we found is that before, I think people felt AI was very narrow to, well, IVI or something. And now we're seeing that AI can really add benefit across the vehicle. And as you say, within different subsystems, one of the things we're showing is how we're making it easy for AI model vendors to access data they need for their models across the vehicle without custom integration. So I think it's really smart what you're saying about how AI is broadening and diversifying.
And you also mentioned like a super relevant point. So none of us knows, okay, where AI in automotive is in 6 months or 1 year from now. So, I mean, there as an OEM, you always need to be able to then maybe swap a model from an old one to the new one because it's more performant, maybe it's cheaper. So, and then you can only do that in a very efficient way if you have then like the base set. So if you have then like clear data pipelines, if you have then clear APIs, and then basically that you have the flexibility in your system to adapt to what's changing around you. So, and I think that's super crucial. And you only get this through partnerships.
Fantastic. And that's a great conversation. We could probably have an entire episode about that. Maybe you come back next time and we'll talk about that. No, but how do we measure success? Numerically, what are some of the ways that we can assess the benefits of partnerships, and are you able to quantify that?
So what we are looking at, like 2 high-level KPIs that the automotive industry is looking at, is like how could we speed up processes? So this is how can we be faster on time to market, and how can we reduce costs? So these are the 2 main drivers that the automotive industry has in mind at the moment, and like to face all the challenges that we have. So that's maybe more on the enterprise side. And then if you talk more about the customer, so if you're then in the product partnership space, it's a lot about customer satisfaction, usage rates. So basically there, again, you need to define the different KPIs, and then you need to really have like I would say like a full loop or like closed loop to like ship then maybe new features, functions, new products to the customers, but then be also able to measure the customer satisfaction score, or NPS, and then see, okay, did you hit the nail, or do you need to basically do another round? So there, if we stay more in the enterprise engineering, it's more cost down, time to market, speed up. If you are more towards customer, it's like usage KPIs, then it's satisfaction KPIs. So these are some KPIs that we use to measure then the success.
You mentioned in your study about how partnership proficiency, it's kind of an interesting term. It's like being good at being a partner. That's a skill that I think different companies, I find in my experience, different companies are differently good at being a good partner. What are some of the metrics that make for good partner proficiency?
So I think there it's right. You're totally right. I also see it the same way. There are some companies that have like partnership DNA in the blood, and some OEMs, so the customers we work with, they need to really learn how to partner. Yeah, so to avoid that, they're then like OEM-supplier relationships. That's really partnerships, and there it's basically KPIs or basically things we use to measure then success is okay. How good could you leverage basically the different cultures? Yeah, so how could you align on different culture? How is the communication? So and then also okay, how do you streamline and automate basically the different systems or the different solutions from like the OEMs and the partners you work with? Yeah, so basically to have then there like a smooth execution and like have like really hit there like the goals that you want to set or what that you want to achieve on like the cost reduction, on the speed, on the value you want to add.
Do you think companies can learn to be better partners? Because my experience is it's kind of a value for the company or not.
Yeah.
But then, as we said, and as many people are discussing, how there's a need for more partnerships, especially in a world where there's more software. I think companies who aren't good at that somehow need to learn. Are there ways they can improve?
Yeah, so definitely they need to learn that, because like partnerships or like to manage partnerships will become like a super relevant skill. It's already today the case, but even more relevant in the future. And you're right. I mean, there needs to be active enablement, because like telling your employees, okay, tomorrow you need to be like the best one in partnership, that's not working. Yeah. So there the corporates, the companies really need to either basically build, let's say, a new organization, which just then has like the partnership approach as part of the DNA of the culture, or actively basically then educate and enable the team or the different teams to be good at partnerships. And that's across all the departments. Yeah, so it's in the business units then, but also in purchasing, it's also in financing. And it's not like let's say a challenge for like a single unit, business unit or team. It's like across the company then.
Yeah, the so many great points you made there. I think there's always a risk, and many companies, and I've seen this in my career in the past, that companies may be concerned that if they haven't invented the things there, not invented here is the famous term, right? Not invented here, then it's not good. And I think the first is to help people understand that that's just a fundamental fallacy.
Yeah.
And then you also talked about KPIs, and you talked about it in many ways, is I think the KPIs for partnerships, I think, and this has been my experience, is you need to establish that we're going to judge you on whether you are being a good partner. And the metrics of success will be the partnerships, not just the overall results.
Yeah, fully agree on that.
Well, it's clear that I'm an advocate and you're an advocate for partnerships, but it's also the case that there's risks in anything, and there's risks when you go outside your company. So if we think about the other side, what are some of the possible downsides or some of the possible concerns from partnerships?
Yeah, of course, like partnerships could have a negative impact as well, or there could be risks linked to that as well. So one is partnerships could also fail. Yeah, so also we need to consider this scenario in our like partnership strategy. What do we do if either we as like an OEM are not able to fulfill this partnership, or if our partner is dropping out because of whatsoever reasons, bending out of business, or they focus on a different like industry or whatsoever. Yeah, so I think that's something where we need to plan for. What do we do if this kind of partnerships is failing? Then we did also like in the study like an interview with around 600 decision makers.
600 decision makers
from around the globe, so in China, in the US, and then also in Europe. And then also some risk or fears they are seeing is okay, they lose, or that they have fears, or they see the risk of losing IP, control on IP, and basically then owning the IP. Yeah, so I think that's something that needs to be considered. They also see the risks of that they can't match the different cultural levels. Yeah, so especially if you talk about, let's say, traditional OEMs partnering with new kids on the block, linked to IVI, linked to data, linked to AI, others, etc. You name it. Yeah, so they often add a different culture, so that they're the risk that is seen by the decision makers is that they can't match it. And then the third one is then also okay that they can't find a common ground on enterprise IT. Yeah, so basically to match maybe different systems and so on. Yeah, so but these are like often known risks, and you can plan for the risks. And I think that's the key fact, so that you see the risks and then you have like a plan B for everything that could happen.
I think that's exactly right. And I think any smart business leader always needs to have contingency plans.
Yeah.
I think my worry is, and I've seen this in the past, is that people use those excuses as to sort of set the partnership up to fail.
Yeah.
I think having a contingency plan and setting the partnership up to fail are two different things.
Yeah.
You want to have a backup plan, but then you want to use your full effort to try to be successful.
Correct.
And then, of course, if you need the backup plans there.
Yeah.
So the study is incredible. We'll put a link in the show notes to the study. People can find it easily on your webpage, and also we'll put a link to your incredible LinkedIn and other feeds that people can see the stuff you publish on a practically daily basis. I don't know when you sleep. Between 3 kids and working out every day and doing your thing, I don't know when you sleep, but we benefit from all the great work you do, and it's been such a joy to have you here. Thanks for coming by and seeing us.
Thanks for having me here, John. Really a pleasure to talk to you about like the exciting topic of partnerships, and looking forward to like what we do next.
Thanks very much. If you like what you're seeing in this episode, please like and subscribe to see more episodes like it, both from CES as well as from our shows around the world and our home studio. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again very soon.